Picasso's background didn't begin in Cubism, right? You can almost guarantee that most artists that you are familiar with have some version of a formal, art education or background, whether it be in a school system setting or, a mentor that taught them the basics, right? You hear that in anything, learn the basics, learn the foundation of anything, and then learn to start breaking the rules. And that's something that, most of the art movements do. The only art that didn't break rules was the art that set the rules, right? So,
things like, developing perspective, right? Perspective was not always practiced. It had to be taught or had to be observed and then put into use. But in all of those efforts to create realism, right? In all the efforts to create realistic art, that was setting all the rules to creating realistic imagery. And then once realistic art had been mastered by the masters, artists began to look for more of an experience, right, from their art. And that's where you start to find artists breaking rules in the modern art movement. I don't know, getting into art history, but it's a part of the game. That's whatever. So you start to get into the modern art movement where you get all these different art movements: pop art, surrealism, Fauvism, Art Nouveau. You get all these different art styles that start exploring all these different ideas and feelings, to where they're breaking the rules to create more, more visceral, more, you know what I mean? Some of that. So again, back to my work, I think on there, my elongated necks. If I could find my first sketchbook, I could. I'll go to the smaller one though, because I said this one was really important. So this one played an important part in my style, because this was the first sketchbook. This is the first small sketchbook I used to document my works. Oh, cool, perfect. Talking about the work. So again, this was probably like maybe the third sketchbook, because it was just something I had laying around. But I was running through sketchbooks when I was doing it. So in that regard, I can say that there's, amongst all of these sketchbooks, there may be 2 empty pages in here because I just happened to skip one. But I filled these sketchbooks with, all kinds of images. And some of the early ones, the variety is much more, of a variety of styles or explorations. But in, a good 3 to 4 of them, like the majority of the work in there is me exploring my agent figures and different styles within that, just genre itself or that style itself. And when it came to me getting to this sketchbook, and wanting to draw the figure, I was used to drawing the figure, the body at least this big on the bigger sketchbooks, right? And then I could move the neck, to, be long up in this area. But when I was limited with the amount of space that I had to work with, and I still wanted to draw, a figure that filled the space, I found myself, I don't know, I'm just doing this without an example. Oh, it's my young brother Akil. This is 2015 when I first started working this. But so you can see in these, like the figures are fairly small in some of these first sketches. And I'm like, this is something I haven't returned to either. Exploring these kind of movements of the head. Oh my God, I forgot about this heat right here. So hey, it's just some early versions of my work, to where the neck is, it's just right there. It's not going anywhere. It's not very far. But I'm gonna skip through some pages. Nope, that's another one. That's another one. Man, I know it's in here. You gotta trust me. This is crazy. Like looking through the sketchbook, because I'm realizing like how the elongation of the necks isn't very far. Here's one. This is a very good example, actually. So here we have a figure, and this is one of the early times where I took the neck off the page and brought it back, and that just opens up a whole other world of what I can do with this, right? Because there's a story of what's happening between this space, or between here and here. That's what the story of this piece is. The figure is nicely sketched and drawn, but the real power is in what's happening between here and here. That's the mystery of it, right? Is it this going on, like anything? So again, I was being forced to navigate how to deal with a smaller space. I saw another one. This is a good example. Moving the neck around just to give it, even though it's not far from the body, I moved the neck around. And I saw another one in here. So again, I was forced to deal with another example there. I was forced to deal with the space that I was restricted in to create, the work that I was hoping to create. This I found the one I was looking for. I always liked this one. I just always liked this one. I think it's my guy Mackenzie that I went to college with. And so once I really got through this sketchbook, it's probably the next sketchbook, the next large sketchbook, when I started started realizing that I could do a lot more with the next, start making it interact with the body a lot more. And so in creating a niche in a style, right? I'm going from an illustrative perspective, but if you're ceramicist, molding clay, or sculpture artist or sculptor, if you're a painter, you take those basics that you develop and learn, and you just work them. And I remember someone had asked me recently, how it was that I came up with my unique style, and I told them, just if you know you're good at one thing, keep doing that one thing, right? Explore more things, of course, in your young career, but that one thing that you're good at, keep doing it, and either the more you do it, the more you'll start finding new ways to do it, or you can just push yourself to change one thing about what you're doing and just make it and see how far you can push that one thing. So with me, it was, all right, I just want to start stretching the necks. And I just started stretching them more and more until I started finding, an infinite pool of ways that I could stretch, elongate, render just that element of the body. And so that's what you really want to do. And again, like, just do the work. So a couple times, throughout this period, I would challenge myself, or at least when I first started, I challenged myself. I was like, I want to do a drawing a day. Simple as that. I couldn't exactly do a drawing a day, but I wanted to just be in my sketchbook once a day, at least once a day. So in the early versions, I was really just inspired and wanted to explore. So I was, I created a formula to put myself in front of the sketchbook frequently, and maybe I want to say, whatever, when I was in grad school, so between 2015 and 2018, or I challenged myself to do it. I wanted to do a 30-day challenge, right? I wanted to just, do a drawing a day for 30 days, starting in June, I remember. And I ended up doing a 90-day stretch because I just got into it, right? And in that 90-day stretch, I just got so many ideas out that I've been able to pull from that pool of images and ideas and concepts for various projects. And again, that was all in the sketchbook, right? And that's I ran through multiple sketchbooks. It's probably when I ran through this sketchbook as well. And so again, this is using the minimal amount of materials so that when you do get to your larger works and you get to your more final works, you're not wasting materials. So you want to use things that are inexpensive and easy to get with to learn to master your style or your niche, and then you move into so I'm back because obviously the last video cut off a little earlier than I thought because I forgot that I started the timer to remind myself when to start wrapping it up. And so we're here to wrap it up. So I think I left off talking about these and building your niche. I think I just had one more message or two in there that I didn't get recorded. So right, in building your niche or your style, the key factor is, like in any other discipline, you have to do the work gotta do the work, right? Once you've done the work and you move to these, as in the last videos, you'll start to what it is that is you, what it is that you put into your work will start to speak back to you. And once you start to understand that conversation between yourself and your work and what it all represents, you'll find yourself in that niche. Now, this developed starting 2014, 2015. This sketchbook, so this drawing probably was the first sample or example of what I was eventually going to be moving into, right? This was 2011, right? But I wasn't consistent at that time. I have some other sketches in there from that time, but I want to say 2014, 2015, I remember more specifically, was when I started just doing my agent sketches and my drawings. And so, again, being that I've been, working, drawing, sketching, I was, in my mid-20s around then, right? So, it's going to take time. But believe that a lot of what it is going to create, that's going to create your niche for you, is already, you've already experienced it. You just haven't figured out how to express it. So you have the experience, you're just looking for the way to express it. And so, in developing that niche, it just takes focused effort and time. Give yourself challenges. It's really, make it fun. Make it something that you will enjoy doing, but give yourself challenges to force yourself to interrogate and investigate and explore things that you want to explore. Especially if you have if you're in the school if you have an educational background as far as pursuing arts, a lot of your assignments come from what your professors give you, and you're just doing what you're being told. But take what you're learning and apply it to what you like to do. So that's what I would always do. So even though I might have learned something in class, I found a way to take what I learned in class and apply it to things that I was interested in. So when it was time for like a review or end of the year review, I was presenting works that weren't classwork because it was me applying something else, and I just had a larger body. I just had a large body of work from that. Comparatively, compared to what I'm doing now, I didn't think I had anything going on then. But with that being said, just remain persistent and consistent, and learn to express your experience, and rely on the inspiration of the artists that have come before you, those who have passed, those who are ancient historical, those who are now, those who are just before you a generation or two ago. Learn from those artists. Understand what it is that they were creating, so that you aren't reinventing the wheel, but improving upon the wheel. And I believe in you. Agency Arts believes in you. So go out there, be great, be beautiful, and be within yourself. It's coming up with stuff. So, that being said, subscribe, be sure to be notified, and until next time, MBEY's out of here. Thanks for stopping by. Y'all need that.